Rich was right there by her side when the accident happened. He was able to support Sharman until the couple got to the station. He helped her until the seizures ended. Little did he realize their problems were only beginning. I remember at one point I was left on my own with him and I hated it. I didn't know him, but he was acting like we were in love. Hello, wonderful people. I'm Scott Leffler for WonderBot, and here is: when girlfriend loses her memory, her boyfriend is left in the dust. Before we begin, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe to our channel, and click the notification bell for more amazing videos. This is Jessica Sharman and Rich Bishop. Cute couple, right? They started dating when Sharman was 19. Bishop was 5 years older. Little did they know where their lives would take them. Were they actually meant for each other after all? The couple had been dating for 7 months. They even worked together. They both worked in recruitment. They would take the train into work together in the mornings. Sadly, this would be exactly where their lives would change. Sharman has a health issue. She has epilepsy. She was diagnosed with it at 14 years old, but it hadn't had too much of an impact on her life. Sadly, that was about to change, and it would end up leaving her boyfriend gasping for air. This couple, who live in England, got on a commuter train together. They were traveling from Tunbridge Wells in Kent to London, heading to work. Little did they know how much this trip was going to impact them. Sharman suffered a seizure on the train, but not just one. She suffered a series of seizures. Her eyes glazed over, her body went limp. Her boyfriend had no idea what to do, but he knew he would stay by her side for as long as she needed. Luckily, Rich was right there. He was able to support Sharman until the couple got to the station. He helped her until the seizures ended. Little did he realize their problems were only beginning. When they got to the station, Rich was the one who called Jess's parents. They scrambled to get there. When they got in, Jess's mom ran towards her. She hugged her and asked if she was okay. But the response she got was not what she was expecting. Sharman didn't recognize her own mother. She was hugging me and asking if I was okay, but I just stared back at her blankly. She kept saying she was my mom, Sharman said. But no matter what her mother said, she didn't recognize her. And her mother wouldn't be the only one that she didn't recognize. Sharman's mother needed to convince her she was actually her mother. So she did the easiest thing she could think of. She got out her phone and showed Sharman pictures of the two together. But the two had an even bigger shock in store. Sharman couldn't even recognize herself. I found a mirror and looked at my reflection, but it was like I was looking at a stranger. I did match the person in the photos though, so I agreed to go home with my parents, Sharman said. Mom put a hand on my knee, but I pushed it off. It felt weird to be touched by a stranger. I was terrified. I had no idea who anyone was. Everyone was a stranger to me. I didn't even know my own name, Sharman said. I remember boarding the train that day in March, but that's it. Did she even remember who was on the train with her? Sharman's parents took her home, but when she got there, she didn't remember anything. She couldn't even recognize their house. My mom gave me a tour, but nothing came back to me, she said. In an instant, her whole life was a blank slate. Sharman's mother took her to the National Hospital for Neurology and Neurosurgery in London, but the prognosis wasn't promising. They said it could take up to 6 months for her memory to return, but that was a best-case scenario. There was even worse news. There was a chance her memory might not return at all. Doctors couldn't be sure what would happen. My head was spinning. I felt like I was in a horror film, Sharman said. And ultimately, the monster in this horror movie was her own brain. Sharman had to relearn her skills. My parents taught me how to cook again, she said. But it wasn't just life skills I needed to relearn. It was things about herself. My parents told me what TV I liked and how I liked to dress. She couldn't even remember her preferences in clothes. So there was no chance she could remember what made her like her boyfriend in the first place. What about her boyfriend, the gallant hero who had helped her on the train? Sharman couldn't remember him either, which isn't surprising given she couldn't remember her parents. But it wasn't only that she couldn't remember him, it got worse than that. My parents invited Rich over, but I didn't know him, she said. When they left me alone with him, I was really scared. I remember at one point I was left on my own with him and I hated it. I didn't know him, but he acted like we were in love. Sharman wasn't happy with Rich, so 2 weeks later she broke up with him. Rich was devastated. He looked so hurt, Sharman said. After everything that she'd put him through, Sharman couldn't even bring herself to give her boyfriend the benefit of the doubt for more than a fortnight. But Rich wasn't about to give up that easily. Rich Bishop wasn't about to give up his girlfriend without a fight. He made a promise to Sharman. He was going to help her remember how great they were together. Even though she kicked him to the curb because they didn't immediately click, he wasn't going to give up on her. He had a plan. Rich had a mission: to make Sharman fall in love with him again. So he began to take her on dates. He took her on walks in the park. He took her back to her favorite restaurants. He told her stories about their past. But with what little she remembered about herself, would it even be possible to remind her what she liked about her boyfriend? And how did Sharman respond? He was so patient with me, so sweet, I couldn't help but fall for him, she said. I don't remember the first time I fell in love with Rich, but I do remember the second. It turns out that she could remember her preferences after all. As her confidence came back, Sharman started to return to a regular life and routine. She got a job again, but she no longer works in recruitment. She works at a call center. She still struggles though, and her relationship isn't the only thing that's taken a toll. Social situations are still stressful for Sharman. People I'd known for years would approach me and start chatting, Sharman said. It was stressful admitting I had no idea who they were. It's hard to explain losing 19 years experience. If she didn't remember her own boyfriend, there was no way she could remember classmates from high school. Sharman may never regain her memory of her first 19 years of being alive, but that's not the worst part. Sharman explained, doctors say there's a 50% chance I could lose my memory all over again. It's a scary prospect, but there is one upside. No matter what happens, Rich is by her side, and Sharman can take confidence in that. Rich was able to make me fall in love with him twice, she said, so I know he could do it again.